Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to this virtual meeting of Colors of Glory. I'm Sangeetha Vallat, your MC for this event. I'm skipping our standard practice of profiling our organization before the event with an audio and video presentation. Instead, please permit me to take 10 minutes of your time to tell the story of the unique mission that we have championed for over a decade now. 10 years of remembering, inspiring, and marching on. India is home to countless organizations dedicated to celebrating its heritage across art, literature, architecture, and more. Yet, curiously, only one vital strand of that heritage has long remained underrepresented: warfare. This is despite India's rich and storied military past. It is this striking gap that prompted a group of armed force veterans to launch a unique initiative in Chennai in 2016. The Colors of Glory Foundation, the first organization of its kind in the country devoted to promoting awareness of India's military heritage. The foundation found early encouragement in the late Mr. S. Muthaya, the celebrated chronicler of Madras, who readily lent his support as a founding trustee. With his association, yet another first was added to the legacy of Madras, that is Chennai. From its inception, the foundation set out to bring the stories of India's men and women in uniform closer to the public. Through a diverse array of evocative and engaging events, battle reenactments, military tattoos, heritage exhibitions, commemorative marathons, candlelight vigils, military history quizzes, book launches, documentary screenings, seminars, and presentations, it has succeeded in capturing the imaginations of audiences across age groups. Even young children have been drawn into this world through specially curated programs such as painting competitions and kids' carnivals. Notably, the foundation pioneered the concept of battle reenactments in India, staging compelling recreations of battles of Adyar, Kolachal, and Haifa. Its flagship event, the Victory Marathon, held every December to commemorate India's landmark military triumph in 1971, attracts participants in large numbers, cutting across generations and backgrounds. When COVID-19 pandemic brought in-person events to a halt, the foundation adapted swiftly. Leveraging digital platforms, it expanded its reach to national and global audiences.
I'm hearing the two noises. How to switch off my...
Through a series of virtual talks and webinars. These sessions featured distinguished veterans and eminent civilians, ensuring that the momentum of the engagement and awareness was not only sustained but amplified. Education has remained a central pillar of the foundation's work. Since its early days, it's organized military history and awareness quizzes for high school and college students, both in person and online, extending its footprints beyond Chennai. The foundation has also conducted annual quizzes in Bangalore for the past 3 years, marking the beginning of a broader outreach vision across the country. Its flagship academic initiative, the All India Online Intercollegiate Military History Quiz, has grown into a widely anticipated event, drawing enthusiastic participation from students as far afield as Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu. Complementing these efforts is the foundation's commitment to the military literature. Its websites host nearly 200 well-researched blogs, 2 of which has earned the distinction of being reproduced in the Journal of United Service Institution of India's commemorative edition, marking the 50th anniversary of the 1971 war. Beyond events and education, the foundation has also engaged actively with issues concerning armed forces. Amongst its most notable campaigns was a sustained effort to discourage the use of the term martyr for soldiers killed in action on the grounds of religious connotations. This initiative achieved partial success with the Ministry of Defense and the Army endorsing the position, even as its adoption in the media remains inconsistent. Other advocacy efforts, such as urging the inclusion of military history in school curricula and proposing that killed in action be accorded the status of the nation's highest military honor to support the bereaved families, have yet to achieve tangible outcomes. Nonetheless, the foundation continues to engage with such issues underscoring its commitments to preserving the dignity, image, and legacy of the armed forces. Following the passing of Mr. Muthaiya in 2019, the foundation instituted an annual memorial lecture in his honor. The first three editions were held virtually during the pandemic, followed by in-person events in subsequent years. In 2024, the lecture has been in association with the Madras Management Association. While earlier, it was held in April to coincide with Mr. Muthaiya's birth and death anniversary. It will now be aligned with the Madras Day celebration in August-September, a fitting tribute to the movement he initiated and cherished.
I can close the YouTube. So
today, the Colours of Glory Foundation has grown into a vibrant pan-Indian community comprising of serving and retired armed force personnel, civilians, and even overseas members, united by a shared passion of military history. Guided by a board of trustees that includes veterans from all three services, alongside distinguished civilians, the foundation continues to chart a unique path.
To the Colours of Glory main group, not to me.
A decade on, it stands as a trailblazer in its field, honoring the memory of those who gave their all for the nation, inspiring future generations, and ensuring that the stories of courage and sacrifice and service are neither forgotten nor overlooked. As it marches on to the second decade, the foundation remains steadfast in its mission to preserve, promote, and celebrate India's proud military heritage, so that the nation may always remember the price of its
Can you
freedom.
mute there also?
That being the story, we invite all of you to join us in this unique initiative. The modalities of obtaining a membership are available on our website. And we also invite those of you who are associated with corporate sector to sponsor our events. Here is a 1-minute PowerPoint presentation that tells the story in a flash, which we'll be happy to forward to you and to those who are interested in the sponsorship. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I now invite the senior Indian Air Force veteran amongst us and our honorable trustee, Air Marshal S. Varthaman, to introduce the book and the author and the protagonist of the book, who is now present amongst us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Samyukta. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Sangeetha ma'am. And Pushp sir, good evening. Pleasure to see you again. And I love your the spirit that you have, and it's so inspirational. What I will do is I have had the pleasure of reading this book. In fact, I just finished it this afternoon, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And I must say compliments to both of you for having brought out a very nice book, and which brings out what do I say? An indomitable biography of Pushp sir. There is nothing he can't do. But then at the end of my 4-minute, 5-minute talk, I'll have to tell him some opportunities which is still pending. He might as well do that. Firstly, I will introduce Sangeetha ma'am. Um, in fact, I think it's what do I say? A great speed at which you have launched your writing career. You launched your last book, 2025, the platform ticket last year, and today we have Pushp sir's biography. After 14 years of working in the Indian Railways, both in Mysore and as well as in Chennai, where as a clerk and interacting with uh, thousands and millions of people during those 14 years, I think you brought out a very beautiful book. I read the review of your book as well, and it's got very good reviews. And one of the reviews I must just read out. And one of the reviews was, this book, to a great extent, did what author Haley did to airport and hotels. Those two books which we read it, 25 years ago. Sangeetha brought railways and its working beyond that of a mere passenger, which I must say I thoroughly enjoyed to read. Her account about going to VLR, we all have gone to the VLR, what you call, in every little station for tea and something sinful to eat, took me down memory lane. And I recall one part of it when you had gone to launch the book in the Bangalore Literary Festival, and you met Mr. Shashi Tharoor, and you spoke about your book. So Mr. Tharoor asked you, how about selling your book? So I'll just quote what you had spoken to him. As a ticketing staff, I have seen a gazillion hands, stubby, manicured, burnt, albino, with chipped nails or an extra finger, dark, fair, gnarled, wrinkled, calloused, deformed. And immediately Tarur said, "You have sold it." And uh, and then, of course, Penguin took on the publishing, and you got a very successful book. And I'm sure this second book will be as good as well. And I understand you're settled in Dubai, right in between Aberdeen and India. And I hope you don't have to wear a helmet every day. It's all peaceful at Dubai. And Push sir, it's been a pleasure knowing you. You've been our you been our guest at our home twice, and we interacted so much with you. But I must run through a part of what I need to know. I want to say. Push sir is an army brat. Now, army brat is, that means you're the son of an army officer. So his father was a major, and like Sangeeta is Air Force brat. Father was in the Air Force, and that's what is called nowadays. My son is an Air Force brat, and my grandson is an Air Force brat as well. Um, he joined the. He was born on a very auspicious day for our country. Any guesses? He was born on the Independence Day, 15th August 1941. And something must have been instilled in him because he's a patriot to the core, to every cell in his being. A brilliant student and sportsman in his school days, he joined the National Defense Academy, the 21st NDA, initially in Hunter Squadron, and then it converted to Golf Squadron. So Pushp sir is a golfie. Those who are NDA guys, there must be many golfies around. In 1962, he passed out and started his flying on Hindustan Trainer 2, HC2, and Texan. And before his commissioning, he was offered helicopter flying, helicopter training, which was relatively very new in our country. And Pushp was among the first 10 to volunteer and went to Oxford, where he qualified on the helicopter and returned to India in 1964, after which he converted to the famous Mi-4 helicopter, which actually Pushp has made it very, very famous. Um, he's flown all over the country and quite a part, and in fact, I think every single valley in the Northeast. And as the 1971 71 came in and war was looming ahead, became a flight commander of 110 helicopter unit. I'm specifically mentioning 110 because I want to relate it later on. And That is the time he became the flight commander of the unit. The flight commander's role is he is the operational guy of the unit. He runs the outfit to fight the war. So he became the flight commander, and soon his unit officers were sent to Russia to convert onto the Mi-8 helicopters, which were due to come to India. So he had all youngsters left with him. The senior most, I mean, every single pilot he had was less than 25 years old. And the oldest guy was Pushp at a ripe old age of 30. And they started rapidly preparing for the war, and soon they were fully operational and ready for the war. And I will leave the part of the war to Sangeetha ma'am and Pushp sir to talk about the war. Soon after the war, he came to Bhubaneswar, where he joined the NCC and inspired the students there as well. And thereafter, he took a premature retirement from the Air Force and went to the UK, did his license there, and flew for British helicopters and flew in all parts of the world, actually. I mean, I think his second part of the second innings was even more brighter than the first innings, if you ask me. It was a real adventure flying all over the globe. And of course, he had a miraculous escape when his Chinook aircraft crashed. And out of the 45, only two survived in the North Sea. And Pushp, who was the captain of the aircraft, and one passenger survived. And that accident is probably one of the nastiest accidents, helicopter accidents ever in the world. I leave it to Push sir to talk about it. Um, somewhere in 2017-18, I think he pulled out his war diary and started looking, and he woke up the Indian Air Force in 2019 when he first time came to the College of Air Warfare in Hyderabad and spoke about what they did in the war. It was completely news to everyone. I served 40 years, I never knew about it. And thereafter, he went and spread the gospel in every single forum. And soon everybody came to hear and talk of the Mi-8s and war, the Meghna crossing, and many, many other aspects of this most courageous contribution to winning the war. In fact, I think thanks to them, the war ended within 13 days. Um, After his retirement from flying, he's kept himself busy. He's a very famous chef, globally recognized, I must say. He has got global followers, and he's converted all the Aberdeen guys eating Indian curry and hosting a whole lot of Indian evenings, as one would say. And he's a avid golfer. He's taught even his grandchildren to play golf. And so his children, both his sons play golf very well. He practices yoga. He's a Rotarian, and what do I say? He's got the fellowship in the Rotarian, one of the highest levels in Rotarian. He talks and teaches meditation. He's attended Vipassana. He is also a follower of the Isha Foundation, Sadhguruji, and many, many things. And now he's got two passions, and one of them is to get his unit, 110 helicopter unit, recognized. And I think, sir, you have to win that battle, and I'm sure you will. And you will convince everybody for a well-deserved recognition to 110 helicopter unit. And what else he needs to do? Maybe some space flight or something, put stuff. You can think about it, put it in your bucket list. And I now hand over to Sangeetha ma'am, and let us pitch, roll, and yaw. Sangeetha, these are your words. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Air Marshal, for the lovely introduction and the afterword you wrote for a book. I can see that you've thoroughly, completely read the book without skipping a page because you gave a fantastic summary of the book. Thank you for that. Thank you, Colors of Glory, Captain Ramachandran, for organizing this event. Coincidentally, it was in January 2024 at an event organized by Colors of Glory. I first met Squadron leader Pushp Kumar Vaid VRC. It was at the book launch of MI4 at War. I remember I was sitting there mesmerized listening to Pushp talk about his 110 helicopter unit and special heliborne operations, and little did I know, like, I would be writing about it soon. Before going to talk about my journey with Pushp and the book, I would like to clear it to everyone, like, why I am addressing such a distinguished officer by his first name. That was actually one of the first questions when I asked him when we were starting this project. It bothered me a lot, like, how do I address this person? Like, should I always call him squadron leader Pushp Vaid, or Mr. Pushp, Mr. Vaid, sir or uncle? So it bothered me a lot, and I texted him this question, sir, how do I address you? And he promptly said, call me Pushp. I was a little taken aback by that, but then I thought, okay, if I have to write about this person, I need to get under the skin, know about him more. So Pushp made it more easy. And it was in August 2024, I started sending him mails, and we started discussing about this project. Initially, I actually sent him a mail asking for an anecdote or two for my next project. I was thinking I'll just get something out of this man and just use it on one of my stories. But then when I texted him, he immediately asked me, would you be interested in writing my biography? I was like, what? You're asking me to write your biography? I was totally shocked. And basically, I told him, like, I had just signed my contract with for platform ticket with Penguin Random House, and the book was in the editing stage. Anyways, Pushp wanted to sample my writing. I sent him a chapter 4 of platform ticket to him. Within hours, he came back and told me, I think you're the right person to write my biography. So that's how we started our interactions through emails and WhatsApps. And coincidentally, it so happened, like, I received my UK visa right about that time. And I told my husband, like, if I have to write about this man, I need to know where he lives. I need to see him in his habitat. Like, I wanted to see how he talks, how he walks. At least a few hours I wanted to spend with him. So we flew to UK and we drove to Aberdeen, where Pushp hosted us in his lovely bungalow. He cooked for us. We chatted a lot. I asked him a volley of questions and he answered everything very, very patiently. I scribbled a lot of notes as well, but then when I came back and looked at those notes, I couldn't make head or tail of it. And sometimes I used to ask Pushp, like, I have written something like this. So what do you mean by that? And he's always been smart as a tack, so he could promptly catch on to it, and he would tell me, like, what it was and what I was actually asking him about. I absolutely enjoyed the process of writing this book. Initially, I watched a lot of helicopter videos. He was telling me, like, pitch, yaw, roll, and right pedal, left pedal. I didn't get anything out of it. So I was watching a lot of helicopter videos. I watched a lot of NDA videos as well. And I also watched a lot of war movies to get into the mood of it. Only then I thought I will be able to write these war scenarios. In fact, I spent hours trying to memorize these special heliborne operation routes. I don't know why I was doing that, like, because I wanted to get everything right so that I could picture myself in that place. Like, from Agartala, they flew from Brahmanbaria to Raipura, or from Kalura to Sylhet Falls, from Kailashahar. I don't know. I tried to memorize all those routes and the dates and the kilometers. And growing up, I've always had an unexplainable interest in watching air crash investigation series. I've watched hours and hours of those series glued to the screen. I would imagine myself in those scenarios. So when I was writing about Pushp's North Sea crash, like, I unleashed my curiosity and read a lot about it, watched a lot of videos. And here I could talk to the survivor himself and ask questions. So what more could I ask for? My husband calls me a question paper, like, and because I post a lot of questions to him as well. Whatever I ask, he answers only in monosyllables. But Pushp, I sent him trillions and trillions of questions. He was very patient. He answered everything, if day, night, or anytime. Whenever I just felt like asking a question, I would just text it to him. And in case if he was busy and he couldn't get back to me within a few hours, he would tell, sorry, Sangeetha, I was golfing, I was doing this, I was doing that. He's a thorough gentleman. You guys all know that. In fact, I've even asked him such inane questions as like, do pilots wear those pilot rings on their fingers? That was how idiotic I was when I started the project. I didn't know anything about Air Force, and I mean, I was an Air Force brat, but then all these flying and helicopters and pilots, everything was new to me. Then he gave me the phone numbers of his fellow pilots, the pilot officers with whom he flew, and then it was too much of fun, like Lambu, Doc, and Krutz. I used to ask questions at any time, and they would answer me with detail. Mind you, I'm talking about Air Commodore M.M. Ali and Ram Mohan Sridharan and Wing Commander Krutz, Sundaram Krishnamurthy. These are my new friends, and and Lambu is my bestie. Yes, he's watching this. I'm sure he must be chuckling listening to this. My father was in the MAS, and I grew up in Air Force quarters, Tambaram. There was a photo in my house where an Air Commodore was presenting a medal to my father, and my father used to be so proud of that photo. I just wish he were here to see this day. Anyways, I've over the period of writing this book, I have made so many new connections. In fact, I remember for the last Father's Day, I sent a thank you wish to Air Commodore M.M. Ali as well. Our book, Extraordinary Life of a Helicopter Pilot, the title was chosen by Pushp's daughter. The subtitle, Against All Odds in War and Peace, was selected by Air Marshal Bali, who has kindly returned the foreword for our book. I had so much fun talking to the family members of Pushp as well regarding his life. And the most important person I would like to name now was late Wing Commander Unni Karta. I'm so thankful for his research and the compilation for the MI4 at War book, without which I would have taken much longer to write this book. And my main challenge for writing this book was there's been a lot of books written about the 1971 war by veterans, and Pushp himself has spoken in so many platforms. He's spoken about the war and this North Sea crash. So my task was to how differently I can write it. Like how intriguing can I make my book from the already what is being written and what is being on captured on videos. So I have followed a non-linear narrative method. I've tried to pull the readers right from the beginning. Like I've started literally with a bang, the book, so that I want the reader to be invested in Pushp's life so that they will continue reading the book. I've tried to grab the readers and drop them onto the landing zone where tracer bullets are whizzing past, and try to dunk them into the North Seas alongside Pushp so that they will experience everything along with Pushp. And while writing this book, I took in account the reviews I received for my earlier book, Platform Ticket. Basically, because it's my railway memoir, I've used terms which I'm very familiar with, like railway jargon, which some of them found it very difficult to follow. So while writing this book, I was very clear that I shouldn't use any military jargon in this book, because only defense background people or their children would understand certain things. And moreover, when I gave my book to a beta reader, my friend, she asked me a lot of questions. She was asking me to explain too many things. That's when I realized this book will take the reader, a reader from a non-defense background. It will be a passage for them to the life of the armed forces. So I did a lot of rewriting, rethinking, and revamping the whole book. And I would like to say, thankfully, my editor and my publisher, Brigadier Rajendra Singh of Saber and Quill, they were very, very supportive during the process. youngsters nowadays, they don't even know what is or about anything about the 1971 war. So like how Pushp is trying to get battle honors for his helicopter unit. This is my tribute to the valiant soldiers who have dared to soar. I have tried to write the book in a way like I want the readers to start from Pushp's birth on a day of national importance, like Air Marshal has told. So right from that period to till date, where he has undergone so many adventures in his life, and now he is living such a healthy, active life, playing golf, doing community service, and cooking massive dinners. And I would like to tell you, Pushp is a great editor as well. Like he's read the book so many times, he found out so many errors and he pointed out them to me. And in fact, even now he's reading the book and pointing out errors. So that's how he is. Let me conclude by telling I'm not delving too much into the book because already the spoilers are out. We won the war. Pushp has survived the crash. But I would like to tell you that his life is not just between these two things. There has been so many things happening in his life. Like he is such a wealth of positivity. At least for that, I would like all of you all to pick up this book and read it to know how positive he is. Let me conclude by saying, like, I was too involved writing this book that over the year, in some of the situations, I would ask myself, what would Pushp do at this juncture? So that's how I wrote this book. To all of you, Pushp is the most wonderful person who lives life joyfully. Thank you, everyone. Blessed, grateful for this opportunity.
My turn now. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me take you on a little journey. I'm coming back from the oil rig called Brent Delta, flying at 2,500 feet, coming back to Samra, descending down comfortably, 44 passengers on board, 3 of us crew, 47 total. And we just been given clearance to land at Samra. We come down to 500 feet. Just told my base, coming into land. Suddenly, started hearing this funny noise, and the helicopter rear rotor disappeared. The nose pitched up. I grabbed the cyclic, pushed it forward. My cockpit broke from the main cabin, and the whole helicopter is going backwards into the sea. With less than a minute, we hit the water, and at 100 miles an hour. Next thing I knew, I was about 30 feet underwater. I managed to come out of the window, swim to the top of the aircraft, top of the sea. Beautiful sunshine, 11:30 was the time. And suddenly I saw all these bodies popping up next to me. That is just the beginning, one of the parts of this book. And I was wearing a survivor suit, but I hadn't zipped it up, so my suit was full of water. And somehow I managed to survive. And the briefing we were given was, if you're ever in the water in North Sea, you got 4 or 5 minutes to live, unless you get picked up. So my time had started. Luckily, I got picked up very, very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you to Sangeetha for such wonderful words. And she's written the book so beautifully. When she met me at Chennai after my presentation, she was saying, lovely presentation, etc. And I said, this is only 15 days of my life. I got 83 more years of life to add to it. And it's got a lot more stories in it. And that's how the story built up. And luckily, she took it on and she's done a wonderful job. The book has come out so beautifully, absolutely gorgeous. I think I've already read it 3 times, and I keep telling everybody else to read it as well,
And every time I read it, I keep thinking, is that me? Is there somebody else? And so this scenario I just told you, the episode about the going into the water, that was just one part of my life. And it was, as Air Marshal Walter said, the worst ever civilian helicopter crash, because no civilian helicopter now carries 44 passengers. Because Chinooks are withdrawn after my accident, and the most helicopters just carry 19 or 20 passengers at the moment. Now, let me take you back to my early days. I was born in now what is not West Pakistan, it's Pakistan now. And in 1947, my family had to move out from there, and we had to leave everything behind. And we had to start all over again in Delhi. And 1959, I appeared for NDA and passed and joined NDA with the 21st course. And my mom didn't want me to fly because she thinks too dangerous. And dad, of course, he was in the army. I didn't want to join the army because army walked too much. I wanted to be going there somewhere quickly. So I opted for Navy just for the sake of my mom. But when I reached the NDA, I changed over to the Indian Air Force. And no regrets at all. We passed our course in 63 and 62, and then we came to Air Force Flying College, did our flying training, and even before we finished our training, the 62 war had happened, and they were desperate to get more helicopter pilots. So they asked for volunteers. So 20 of us volunteered from my course, and 10 of us I was in the first batch. And within 2 days of being told, you're ready to go, 12th of January 1963, 14th of January, we were already in London. It is quite amazing how quickly we were able to get there. And we spent 3 months there training, and then we came back, joined 110 HU. And that's where we learned to fly the Mi-4s. And I didn't realize that I'll be coming back to 110 HU again later on in 1970. And I was the flight commander that time in 1970. And the war happened, and I think it's probably the best part of my life. 2 years, 2 weeks of the war, especially if you're on the winning side. Absolutely gorgeous. And I was so fortunate. I was the flight commander, so I was running the show. And we had 14 helicopters, 32 pilots, and every job that came in, we finished it even quicker than what the army expected us to finish. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And the book covers a lot of it, and the MI4 at war covers the whole of the 2 weeks of the war. I think it's worth getting that hold of that book as well if you haven't read it. So after the war, I left the Indian Air Force and came out to UK, joined British Airways helicopters, and I was flying over the North Sea. And I stayed with them for about 20 years. And forgot about the war, forgot about India, forgot about Indian Air Force, but new life, new country, children growing up. It's only when I retired, I rang up air headquarters to find out if they knew anything about me. And I was shocked that they had no knowledge of what our unit had done during the war. And I wrote a few articles and they got published, but not many people took interest till Uni Karta came on the scene. And he read my articles and he said, "Sir, come over to Sikandrabad," which is what I did. He arranged for me to give a talk to College of Air Warfare and to HTS, Helicopter Training School. My talk at the College of Air Warfare went so well. And all those 50 odd officers, group captain rank, was pleasantly surprised to hear the story what I was telling them. So they rang up air headquarters, and Air Marshal Vikram came and met me in Delhi when I reached there. And I gave him all my notes and everything. And luckily, air headquarters notes were updated at that time. Since then, I've been going around everywhere trying to make sure that a 110 HU gets recognition. I was lucky. I got honored by an award called Veer Chakra, but the Veer Chakra was just not for me. It was for the whole unit. The whole unit had contributed to that, and I think, in my honest opinion, all of 110 and 111 and 105 should be recognized for what effort we had put in during the war. And I think one of the reasons the war finished in 13 days was our helicopters managed to lift 5,000 soldiers and nearly 800 tons of their equipment so quickly. And we were sitting outside Dhaka. And this is when General Jacob could go to Niazi and tell him, we are sitting outside, you better surrender or die, and luckily he surrendered. So with all my pilots and engineers, were able to go to Dhaka and see the surrender ceremony. It was such a pleasure to watch that. So while I was in the British Airways, then I left and came back to British Airways. And while I was in the British Airways, I was able to fly all over the world. I went to Alaska. I spent about 6 months there flying over the Bering Sea. Then went to Brunei for a year. I spent absolutely gorgeous. It was like being on a holiday, when you're working, one whole year. And then after 1993, I left British Airways and I joined a Dutch company, worked in Nigeria with flying over and there the weather is much better than what's in the North Sea, and the sectors were very small as well. And Nigeria, in my time in the early 1990s, very peaceful. No problems there for us. We should travel on our own, and that's where I learned to play golf as well. It was wonderful. And after that, after I finished last year, as 2006, I got 65 and I retired. They asked me to do 1 year extension and ferry 4 helicopters from Switzerland to Nigeria. It's like icing on the cake of my aviation career. Because when you're doing ferrying, you get a brand new helicopter and you fill up full fuel, and 3 of us on board, myself and co-pilot and one engineer. And they gave us a bundle of money, and we pick our own route and take our own time, usually about a month, to ferry from Switzerland to Nigeria. It was just gorgeous. It's like going on a safari, all paid for by the company. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I enjoyed doing that. And once I finished flying, I started doing charity work, and I also started doing Indian cooking, and I went to different schools showing children how to cook Indian food. Not children, I did that as well, but mainly for their lunches. I used to show the proper chefs over there how to make Indian food. And that went on very well until I got a call from a school called Gordonstoun School. It's one of the poshest schools in Scotland. And even King Charles has studied there. And they asked me to come and do lunch for them. So while I was chatting to the manager, I asked her how many lunches they make, and she said 750. I got such a shock. I said, 750 lunches. Wow. I said, no problem, no problem. We'll do the 750 lunches. So I prepared the recipes, I prepared the spices, and of course, they have professional chefs in the school there, 20 of them. So I just went and gave them the recipes, and I was supervising all the food. And the food came out absolutely better. I mean, those chefs are professionals. I'm not a professional. I'm just an amateur. But they produced food even better than I could cook, and it came out very, very well. So for the next 7 years, they were using my recipes and spices till the catering manager retired, and they had never done Indian food before I went over there. And that's nearly 200 years old school. It's quite amazing. So my daughter is a pilot with EasyJet, and my son does underwater work. And I have 2 wonderful grandchildren who I managed to teach golf from the age of 5. And now they're both of them 15 and 17. The handicap is in 12 or 13. Absolutely wonderful. They're playing so well. And now my main passion is well-being, how to make sure I live happily, healthy life without any medication, which is what I'm 85 now. I don't take any medication. I've got no aches and pains. And I think one of the main reasons is you look after your diet, you look after your exercise, you do some yoga regularly, and that definitely makes sure that your body stays healthy. And that's what I've been pushing it. I just produced a new booklet recently, only about 2 days ago, about doing different exercises and watching different talks and all that. So, and I run regular classes. Even on Zoom, I'm started on every Sunday. If anybody wants to join, they're more than welcome. I can send you the link, and it's free, no charges at all. So that's my life. You'll enjoy it. I'm sure you'll enjoy this book. Like Sangeetha was showing you, I'll show you as well. This book is here. Can you see? Yeah, Sangeetha is showing it again. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Any questions, you guys can, anybody can get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to answer.
Please tell about the cover. What is it?
Yeah, the cover was printed by, painted by Group Captain Dev Gohan. He did a wonderful job. He made 3 paintings for us. He did a wonderful job, absolutely wonderful job. And these paintings have been distributed all over India. And even in India, we got paintings. I gave one to the Chief of Air Staff as well. And the Chief of Air Staff actually authorized me to go to the Air Force stations all over India. I went to 50 Air Force stations and gave presentations
Just
all over.
unmute and be ready.
Thank you very much. I hope if anybody's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. And I'm grateful to Air Marshal Bali and Air Marshal Vatharaman for the forward and the afterwards, which has been written in the book. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pushp, I have.
And the Color
Pushp,
of Glory.
I have
Thank
a
you to
question.
Color of Glory for hosting me today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. The
I
floor
have a
is open for questions.
Sangeetha question time.
Uncle,
No
one
time.
second, one second. So, no, the floor is now open for questions. We'll be taking questions in the chat box and, in live as well. I now request Captain Ramchandran to, moderate the questions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The floor is open, as you say in the in-person events. The questions, you're most welcome. I would request to have questions and not statements. It may go long. So let's have it. Sundar is already ready with this question. Come on, Colonel
Yes.
Sundar. First is your shot.
Pushp, sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Really exhilarating listening to you for a second time, so I'll keep it short and sweet. When you were in the helicopter along with General Sagat, when it took bullets, sir, could you just in brief describe that experience and what happened? Because that is something, a combat experience very, very few people live through. And what happened in those moments, could you please tell us? It's not a question, just so that you could relate what happened when those bullets hit you when General Sagat and you were flying together, sir.
Yeah, I see. We just finished Sylhet operation. We just come back to Agartala, and I was fast asleep. Suddenly, I got woken up. Sagat Singh wants to see you, so I went running, and he was sitting in the aircraft. He says, "Come, jump in. I'll show you where we're going tonight." Because after we saw what we had done in Sylhet, he was so impressed, and then he knew how we're going to cross the river Meghna. So he said, "I'll show you where we want you to land across Meghna." So myself, my CO, Commander Sandhu, and there's another brigadier sitting was at the back. 2 pilots were sitting in the front, and General Sagat Singh was sitting in the front. So we went and saw the place, Raipura. On the way back, he said, "Let me have a look at the Coronation Bridge. We'll go down a bit and have a look." So we came down to, going out, we went at 5,000 feet, away from small arm fire. On the way back, he said, "This is all under Indian control. We can come down." So we came down to 1,000 feet. And he had his look at the Coronation Bridge, and it had been blown up. And he had a look at where our army units were. And just as we were coming back, suddenly we heard foot noise. And these bullets went right through the helicopter. And the pilot got injured on his shoulder. The bullet went through his shoulder, went into the seat behind him, and it stopped there. And I was sitting right behind that seat. It's another 2 feet, and the bullet would have reached me as well. And so the co-pilot took over, climbed away, and we landed back at Brahmabaria, and we shut down. So of course I came out and I started preparing for my own operation, because that is going to start in 3-4 hours time. And we were supposed to have 8 helicopters. So I had to organize all the pilots and everything. And then later on, I came to know there were 38 bullet holes in that helicopter. Oh. That means 19 bullets went through that helicopter. 6 of us were sitting there. Chetak, small 6-seater. Only one person was injured. Sagat Singh had a little scrape right across his forehead. Just a little blood had come out, that's all. And how those 19 bullets missed rest of us, it's still a mystery. Absolute mystery. Somebody was watching us.
It's in chapter 11. It's in chapter 11, page number 115.
Ma'am, listening to him is definitely, I'll read it, but listening from the horse's mouth is something that makes it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
I had the pleasure of listening to each and every incident many times. So, and not just from him, I made the other pilots also tell me the story. So I had a wonderful time.
Sir, we have a question on the chat box. It's written iPhone, so I don't know the name. Can you identify and unmute and identify who it says iPhone 1949. The question is, with the VRC and being a war hero and such an amazing career, leaving Air Force would have been a big decision. I'm curious. Who is this, please? iPhone?
Sir, this is Colonel Peter, sir.
Oh, Sada Peter, why didn't you put your name, Sada? Okay. Right, I leave it to Pushp sir to answer, sir, please.
No, you see, what happened after the... I can answer?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, after the war, I got promoted to squadron leader's rank and I was posted to NCC Bhubaneswar. When I reached NCC Bhubaneswar, I suddenly came to realize that maybe the Indian Air Force doesn't want me. They kicked me out. They pushed me into the Air Force. 11 years I've been flying all over India, and especially just coming through the war, and especially getting a Veer Chakra as well. And then you get suddenly kicked out of the Air Force. I said I might as well go if Air Force doesn't recognize me and doesn't want to know me. So I put in my papers. And then while I was in the NCC, I suddenly discovered we had 4 gliders sitting there, which nobody had flown for years. So I got one glider ready and I started flying. I flew 5,000 launches myself in 2 years I was there. Amazing. And I had to get another instructor because I couldn't cope with the number of kids who wanted to fly. So I got another instructor to help me. So the two of us used to fly whole day, morning to evening. And those kids must have thoroughly enjoyed it because the officer sitting in the government of Odisha, who was in charge of NCC, was such a wonderful gentleman. I told him, I said, this is my plan. I want to take these 40 kids up in the air and I need some money. He says, how much do you need? I told him the amount. He said, no problem. By next 3-4 days, you'll get a check. And that's what he gave me. He gave me about 4 or 5 lakhs. This is in the 1970s. A lot of money that time. And we just flew like hell. And, for 2 years, I flew in the glider because I didn't want to be sitting on the ground. So whatever I had, I said, let me go and fly. So might as well be in the air,
Got it, sir. No, sir, I have something. Sir, I have something
go ahead.
to say here. I've been an Air Force brat. My father was a technical officer. 7637 was his number. And I always dreamed of joining the Air Force, but somehow in the CDS exam, I made it to the Army. I went to the artillery. I flew. Then I became an artillery assault controller and I fought the Kargil war. My battery got an honor title. And whatever I learned from the Air Force, that quick split decision making and committing yourself helped me a lot, sir. And I think we've spoken before. I'll read this book and you also shared your London address. I will somehow see that my 2 books, which I've written, Storm Party and Artillery Assault Controller and a Rocket Battery Commander, will reach you. So you will understand how a pilot back on ground fights with boots on ground, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for Sada, for that input. I mean, are there Air Force veterans here? You'd like to share your experience also? You're welcome, although traditionally we don't encourage long statements, but if you have, it's an occasion to share. I mean, we're all veterans here, mostly, I guess.
I like the lady, she grew up in Air Force, so I used to get ticked off for my dad because all my notebooks had aircrafts and pilots in overalls with wings drawn, I used to get pulled up for it. So even when I got commissioned in the army, my dad's friends would say, "Why did you go and become a Pongo?" Then I would tell them, "Uncle, I'm a Pongo, but I'm a Pongo." So amazing, sir. The Air Force part, the pilot training gave me a lot of support as an artillery battery commander, subsequently as a second in command officiating CO. But I also, like sir, when I missed my first board, I was through in the next board. I said thank you and I left, and I had a beautiful career in corporate. I'm still working. I'm 59 and I'm now writing a book. And this is about airline security operations because I was the head 13 airports in 5 years and also seen a near hijack situation.
Thank you, Sadhav. Do we have some more questions to come, please?
Thank you, sir.
Please shoot, ladies and gentlemen. Your questions, I'm sure there must be around air veterans, ladies. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see this lady speaking, but she has to Santosh Kumar Jain. You got to unmute, ma'am, whoever it is speaking. I mean, you have not unmuted. You're speaking without unmuting. This is asked to unmute. I'm doing, but she's not doing. Oh, this is a gentleman. I thought it is Santosh Kumar Jain. Please unmute and speak. We cannot. She's speaking, but he's speaking there, but we cannot make out. Please unmute and speak. Times I asked her. Ask to unmute, I'm saying, but he's no way.
Anyways, until then, I would like to tell you one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
While writing the book, when the exact thing, the night when this thing happened, like basically the Sylhet night lift, Pushp was called and asked to get a volunteer to do the night lift, and Pushp volunteered himself, and he wanted a co-pilot, and he went to the hall where all the other pilots were sleeping, and he just told them, "Officers, I need a volunteer." And every one of them lifted their hands and said, "I volunteer, I am ready to go." So that was something which, when he told me, like, I felt so wonderful. Like, we have such people saving us, like all you veterans and all the people who are even now in service. Thank you so much for guarding us.
Yeah, now I have a question from somebody else, and that is for the author and not for the protagonist. So she's already there. So now you've taken a leap from railways to aircraft, right about. Now, what's your take? I mean, the stories which ordinary life and civilian life in railways, and how come the armed forces stories that do not excite the Indian readership? What would be your comment?
Yeah. So basically, I've tried to capture the audience of the largest employers in India, like armed forces and the Air Force are the largest employers. So my readership is wonderful. I've got that tackled. I would like to say, like, I have read a couple of the books written by the veterans. If I can be honest over here, like, the books written by the veterans are for the veterans to read, or for the people who are in the defense forces to read. Normal readers find it difficult to read it and understand it. Normal readers want it written in a way like there's got to be action, there's got to be it has to go like a movie that attract the readers to read all through. the books which written by veterans, some of them, not everything, some of them I felt like they're too dry. You need to add in more. The style of writing has to be more attractive. Like
and simple
when we write about what we know, we think the reader also knows all those things. It is not like that. The readers don't know. We have to explain everything to them and pull them into our world. So when I wrote Platform Ticket, I also had this thought like, okay, I know this, I know what a RSA is, I know what a waiting list is. I thought the readers would also know. It's not like that. So same way in this scenario also, all these Air Force and Army stories, we need to write it in a way so that normal readers from the non-defense background also understand it well. So that is what I've tried to do it in this book. I've reenacted scenes. I have added a lot of interview formats. So I've made it as engaging as possible. Rest the readers will have to read and tell me how engaging it is.
Thank you for that. I mean, I do appreciate what you're saying on, you see, why the veteran written books or armed force books, you know, they're not that palatable to the civilian readership. But I know I make it a point to read not only the armed forces stories, others written, and then I had the privilege of introducing a book here in our book club, which is one of the largest forums of book lovers in India. So this was a book which I thought will grab the attention of people. This was written by, his name is Raghu Karnad, that he is the son of Girish Karnad. It is called, the Father's Field, the India's Second World War. I thought it's a beautiful book. And I'm not absolutely zero on appreciating literature in the sense, not to sound boasting. I read a lot outside armed forces also, and I tried to sort of.
You write so well, also, sir. You write so well. I've read all your those posts. You write so well.
I've already removed 150 blocks. That is just pastime, actually. Books takes much more concentration and things like that. And my books have been generally accepted, but it's not about my book. So I've been, this is one of the part of the reasons why Colors of Glory came into existence. I was wondering, I've been campaigning for this, and I've been asking some literary figures I've spoken to, how come not a single book dealing with the armed forces have won a literary award? It is because what should I say? The literary world tried to either ignore it or don't make an effort into that area. You know, these people are also armed forces veterans. They're writing. They're not illiterate. They're writing, and there must be stories. And there's no effort, no book, which I was convinced after reading and appreciating and introducing that book, Girish book, a beautiful book. Yeah. I thought it should. I mentioned it to many people, not only me, so many of the journalists. We got this leading journalists, what they call maybe Deepa Alexander in our group, and she also thought the same. So many people said, but absolutely no recognition.
So it is basically marketing also, sir. A lot of things depends on marketing and how you reach the public. Like all these youngsters nowadays, they have so much of Instagram followers and all those followers. Those things also help. Yes.
Readership itself has dropped. I mean, a lot of this thing. But and then I was just bringing out a point about the Pushp story. Now it's a beautiful story. I mean. Congratulations to you. You brought it out. I mean, we already know the story, but still, I would love to read it as soon as I finish this one. But it sort of somehow something has to be done. I mean, I hope you are being a civilian writer, although you're an Air Force child, you sort of give some efforts to it. This is one of the things you're campaigning, to promote literature on armed forces. See, my own assessment is here, people don't want to. For example, let's take a writer like Onwali Ryan or, the famous Western writers, these New York Times at Times of London, they're all there to sponsor them, support them.
Yeah.
Because writing a war book, in fact, I have written a book on 1971 war, covering the entire thing. From a young officer's perspective, I try to write. Actually, the book, if the real story has to be written, it needs a lot of money, lot of research, lot of support. Here, Indian publication not interested. Now, I'm just sounding out my mind when this came on this subject. Anyway, I don't want to take too much time on the same issue. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen, please?
So no questions, but on what you've said, sir, I think finally we have the saber and quill, which is now shaping up to be picking up good authors, and anybody wanting any good military writers are probably now narrowing on to saber and quill, who I think are emerging now as good.
I know Rajendra, he's already republished my first book, but
yes,
and he's asked for the second one. But the point is, again, it is Military History Foundation, books coming from there. I don't know. I hope it comes out well. I mean, this publication. But I think general awareness, I mean, sort of the literary world outside has to sort of take note that this part, after armed forces, are also part of our country. I mean, their stories have to be told. And I would say, like in Scotland, Pushp story has to be retold. So that's, I hope, I mean, it works out.
And I think a lot of the especially in the Air Force, not many people tell their stories, and my story was not known. And I was surprised because I had so many other pilots. And my CEO, Squadron Sandhu, he also never mentioned it. He stayed on in the Air Force. He retired as a group captain. So I was surprised that he also didn't publicize our story, I was really surprised.
The problem is, it is not that all armed forces, I mean, I know many of these stories written by armed forces officers, when we take, they'll use too much jargons. In fact, many officers who write the blogs to me would come, I have a job, making it sound more civilian-like. But
I understand. What I'm saying is people don't tell their stories also. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, but there are some people who have told the story very well, despite being in the armed forces. I really don't understand. Like, for example, the Siachen, the war without end, Lieutenant General Raghavans, he was, that sector, Siachen sector, he was commanding. I tried to look at it impassioned without any this thing. It is not a story which a civilian cannot understand. In fact, he's got an intellectual. He's written it very well, showing how Siachen evolved and this story, everything. There's hardly anything about. I mean, if any one of you read, you will find that Siachen story has been told that any reader can like. But it is the mindset of the major literary world here. Don't look at military writing. That I think is a problem. Maybe when you get more Sangeetha, when you get involved with the literary people, you can always point out this. There's a grievance from veterans and writers. Literary writers are not being given the recognition they deserve. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, other questions. I'm supposed to be moderator, not.
No, I have one question for Pushp.
Sure.
Pushp, describe to us when you took your as many of your team as possible, and you flew to Dhaka for the surrender ceremony.
Yeah.
What did you see and what did you feel? And with the 93,000 Pakistanis surrendering, it is an experience of a lifetime.
No, it was an experience of a lifetime. See, first of all, nobody else could go to Dhaka unless they went by helicopters. And the Alvets could only carry 5 or 6 people. So all the VIPs were sitting in the Alvets, and the 5 or 6 Alvets were there. And I was told, take 5 Me-4s. 5 Me-4s, I put 25 of my people first, 5 each. And then I pushed all the reporters. There was no restriction, men, women, nationality, nothing. Everybody was allowed to go. No place to sit down. Everybody was standing. And the clamshell door was removed. Can you imagine? Right to the edge, people were standing. Luckily, nobody fell off, And so I think I had 20 plus, 25 plus people in each helicopter. And we landed there.
Like a city bus.
It was absolutely amazing, And once we landed there, we didn't take any manifest also. We had no time to make manifest. We didn't write anybody's name or anything. That was throughout the war. We had no time to write anybody's name. Of course, during the surrender ceremony, we could have had time to write the names. But of course, we're so used to not writing names, we didn't bother to start over there at that time. So once we landed there, the amount of cars and buses and tractors and whatever, even bullock carts and cycles and everything, people were taking us to the field where the surrender ceremony was going to take place. So when we reached there, it was packed with all kinds of people. Of course, the locals were there. Lots and lots of locals were there. But that lots of army was there. Army was controlling, keeping an eye on things. And we were very close to the table where the signatures were. As you saw, one of our pilots, Krishnamurti, managed to go around Jacob and stand with his head through.
Photo bombing.
Yeah, he did. So it was just wonderful ceremony to see. And remember the Second World War when the Americans went into France and all the people are coming and hugging everybody and shaking hands and all. Similar thing was happening to us, Everybody wanted to come and say thank you very much and shake hands with us. And of course, a lot of bullets are flying up in the air as celebration. And very worrying because if the bullets are flying any of them, those bullets can come and hit you as well, But it was wonderful. And we don't know how long we stayed there because I think it was midnight by the time we flew back. The ceremony itself was about 4:30-ish, 4:15, 4:30 time. But it was packed with people. All kinds of people were there. So it was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful experience. And I didn't want any of my pilots and engineers to miss it because it is a once in a lifetime, you see a ceremony like that.
Emotional, have you got some more questions to ask?
No, you can ask it.
Thank you. No, thank you, sir.
Push, can I step in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please.
Push, this is Colonel Krishnaswamy. You met each other.
Good evening.
Okay. Now, I think the time is we have taken a lot of time, but I'll try to be brief.
No, there's plenty time, I think. There's no problem.
No time restrictions, sir. We have all the time under the sun. Please go ahead.
Okay. You witnessed the surrender ceremony wherein that Niazi signed that surrender document.
Yeah.
Have you had the opportunity to witness the actual surrender being taken by General Sagat in the race course?
No, I didn't. I don't think General Sagat personally took any. I saw all the army was there and they were all putting the arms down. All the Pakistan army was there. They left their arms down. And we saw all that happening over there in front of us.
No, I want to share with you. I was fortunate, I would say, to witness this surrender ceremony at the race course in which General Sagat and General Sam Manakshaw also flew in there. And he landed up from Sham to congratulate the formation for having won the Indian arm. And the morale of the Pakistanis was so low, and the surrender ceremony was more like a sad spectacle in the sense that when they were massed in, they came in their Toyotas and all sorts of vehicles and all. Then they were asked to fall in and stand in a military fashion. They threw their weapons in a dump. And that is most distressing. That is number one. And number two, I had the experience of hearing a colonel from the Pakistan Army who, to my utter surprise, called me Tambi. I got a shock of my life. Who the hell is this Pakistani guy calling me Tambi? Then I went and saw he was an Anglo-Indian gentleman who originally was from Bangalore, chose to join the Pakistan Armed Forces, and he served them as a colonel, full colonel, probably on the staff. So he asked me a stupid question. I'm a major at that time. My company was rushed in to bring in some sort of a army presence in that area. So therefore, he says, measure, what do you think they will do to me? Enna பண்ணுவாங்க? He asked me in Tamil. I said, sir, you are a colonel and I'm a major, and you are asking me what they will do. They will do what is required to be done. They will treat you with the Geneva Conventions. That was the panic that had spread around.
Yeah.
And the
No,
British,
sorry. Yeah.
a British correspondent from the BBC, I was not carrying any weapons because we were told that you don't carry any weapons. Whereas the Pakistan army was carrying weapons. So he asked me, are you from the victorious army or from the vanquished army? So I said, what do you think I look like? So I was in my terracots. So he said, you're looking smart. You must be from the Indian army. I said, yes, you're right. Then what makes you think that we are that you can't deceive? Then he asked me a question saying, why are you not carrying weapons and they are carrying weapons? What if they misbehave? So you know what I answered him back? I told him, look, we need not carry weapons. They need to carry weapons. The Mukti Bani would lynch them otherwise, whereas the Mukti Bani would lift me on their shoulders and carry me.
Exactly.
That is the state of their morale, and that is the state in which that surrender ceremony was taken. And General Sam Manekshaw flew back after talking to several people. He lifted one chicken-like boy and he said, Kaka, tu ro kyun riya? Kehna nahi sir, shakal hi edda hai." So he boosted up that morale of that chicken-like boy.
Yeah.
Told General Sagat Singh, you carry on. And the surrender ceremony was just General Sagat Singh was merely sitting down there for a while. And afterwards, General Nagra took it on. But he was very much there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, another question. Sandhu, who was your squadron commander, Charni Sandhu, is my squadron mate and also my course mate.
Yeah.
1902, I'm 1906.
Okay.
So what I want to share with you is, why is it that the battle that you are now fighting, a single battle to gain the battle honors committee to take notice of, for giving recognition of the battle honors, why is it that it is not being projected from the squadron itself, or for that matter from air headquarters? Have you made a presentation?
Squadron is doing it. 110 is working very hard on it. I've been to Kumbhi ground twice in the last 3-4 years, and they looked after me very well.
Made a presentation?
No, Sandhu is just like me. He's getting older, and he's not taking much active interest in all that. But since I got
that question. I said, I listened to Push, and he talks so highly of the actions that your squadron has done there. Why is it that you're not? Because my battalion, 1st Jack Rifles, was also not being recognized. My commanding officer, Surinder Kapoor, took up the case. He said, I don't want only me to be decorated with the Mahavir Chakra. Why are you not giving the battle honors to that committee? He was told to come and make a presentation, and the battle honors was awarded.
Yeah. See, I went to see the Chief of Air Staff also. I met 2 Chief of Air Staff, last 2 Chief of Air Staffs, and I requested both of them, and both of them said it's 50 plus years now, and Government of India is not recognizing anything. And the present Chief of Air Staff has agreed to give us at least Chief of Air Staff honors, I don't know what they call them. Citation from Chief of Air Staff, yeah. He's agreed to give us citation, but he still hasn't given it to me. More than a year ago, I met him.
What a shame.
But 110 has taken up the case officially.
Has an official presentation been done in the Battle Honors Committee, which I attended for my battalion? I attended, I being the CO, and the past CO who fought the war along with them in the 1971. He made the presentation beautifully. He said, "This is what happened. These are the orders that I got, and these are in my war diary, and that's the MO."
You see, you must have done it in good time. Just after the war.
Not just after the war, 10 years later. because we
Yeah,
were
but
also
even
getting,
10 years. See, we are
you know,
talking about 50 years now. You see.
Yeah, that's the problem. You've done 10 years and this Air Force went in
No,
for
10 years. They said till about 2000 you could still apply for it, but after 2000 they're not interested.
a lot of difference between 10 and 50 years.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What a shame that the good work that has been done is not
I know.
recognized.
I know, this is just, there's so many. So,
Thank you very much, Bush. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely chatting with you.
Pushpa, if there are no more questions, just one last question I have. It's just going beyond the topic a little bit. I mean, you're a veteran, I was a veteran. We all saw those exciting moments. We all lived hugging people, garlanding us, you know, so full of love. And even when my wife and me went to Dhaka with a veterans delegation, that is in 2013, we got such warm reception there. You know, they were all people were very excited.
Yeah, I also went there in 2024.
24. And look, what was happening with the Yunus government before? That, I mean, what did you feel about it? And I felt absolutely, you know, sort of cut up. I don't know what to say. That the way
No, I don't know. I mean, I've not been following what's been happening in Bangladesh per se, but Yunus, of course, was been put in by the CIA and whoever else, and he only came to make his own money. And you know, he was not doing anything for Bangladesh. He was just enjoying himself.
How the entire country was hijacked, one cannot understand. Of course, this election has given us some hope because the democratic
let's hope
have come together and the radicals have been kept, you know, sort of isolated.
Yeah, because it's in their own interest. It's in their own interest to be friends with their big country next to them. You know.
I know it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no more questions, I think shall we wind up the program?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in that case, kindly let me sort of have the national anthem played, then we can close the meeting. Please hold.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.